Hello!
Hello AOS fans!
It's the Agents of Weird Hollow.
And in this video we're going to be asking, can Arnulf save Underworlds?
Do Underworlds players prefer older warbands?
Would we all like to see working Rivals decks for Shadespire and Nightbolt?
We don't have a huge data set to really back this up, but
Speak for yourself, mine's massive.
but the agents' viewing figures may suggest that that's the case.
Yeah, about 1,700 of you watched our recent Void Cursed and Headsman's videos.
But we had over 2,500 people watch our start set videos.
Yeah, so it's about half as many again.
Yeah, and I guess there may be an element of people who are new coming along going, what's this start set box all about? But I feel like there's that interest there for newer players, but also there's all the people who watch the Headsman's games who are all watching that one as well.
Yeah, the comments would suggest it was old people as well who are
Old
interested.
people.
Old people, yeah.
Oh, not in my day, I didn't like all this stuff.
The comments would suggest it was people who've been following Underworld since the beginning. Is that better?
No, mine's better.
Even to the point where in recent weeks, and it's a couple of weeks old now because I put this together a couple of weeks ago, but the 3 of our top 4 videos were all about the starter set.
Yep.
And even the one that wasn't about the starter set was about the fact that there are 50 warbands, and we focused quite a lot on the older warbands. So everything, all those top 5 videos were all to do with old warbands in some way, shape or form.
Yep. It would appear that nostalgia does sell still.
And I think that's absolutely the case because people have always tried to play those old warbands from almost when they weren't old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even in Beast Grade, people were trying to play the Chosen Axis.
Yeah, and I think it's that thing that we've played some Season 1, 2 warbands more than we've ever played some of the latest Season warbands just because they've been out 5 years and every time something new comes out, a new Rivals deck, it's like, I wonder how they work with Garrick's, or I wonder how Sepulchral Guard will deal with that.
Yeah. Whereas Looncourt, it's like, I don't want to play with those.
Yeah, don't like them. Don't like them at all.
I think Underworlds is having a bit of a resurgence, and it's a lot of new people have come into the game. We're seeing new people commenting on our videos, new people joining us on Patreon and things. But there's still a lot of interest, even with those newer people, in the older warbands. Whether they've heard about them, or they've seen the models, or they've wondered about them. And so there's obviously a lot of interest for the older stuff.
There is a bit of a challenge there. We're getting the cards to people who already have most of it, and they've got the warbands, they've got all the old stuff. They just want the new card. There's not an easy way to do that right now without them having to buy a lot of plastic that they don't need. But
I mean, the box is a good price, but it is a lot of stuff you don't need. And however, basically in this video we're going to say GW should be bringing out new Rivals decks for everybody, and that obviously might mean that you have to buy stuff that you already own.
Yeah.
And if they are going to do that, they need to find a way, possibly, of allowing people not to have to buy a new set of Garrick's Reavers. Or why wouldn't you want a new set of Garrick's Reavers?
Why wouldn't you want a new set of Garrick's
Reavers? But that's possibly an issue. But I think that's a small one because people, if you're playing casually for a start, you could just print out the extra cards.
Yeah.
So only if you want to go and play in tournaments, and I don't think that many people play in tournaments. I think they play it for fun.
Yeah.
So I it's a small issue, but it's there. I've seen people moaning, well, if I want to play these new Fast Riders or these new Sepulchral Guard, I need to buy this thing, and I've already got most of it. Yes, that is an issue. So why do you think there's this love for the old warbands?
I think for me personally, there's definitely a bit of a new stuff burnout. That whenever something new comes out, it's like I have this tendency to sort of go, well, they're not Sepulchral Guard, are they? They're not, they might be new and shiny like the Headsman's Curse or whatever, but I mean, they're not Sepulchral Guard. You're not going to get better than Sepulchral Guard. They're the epitome. But
yeah, and I think it almost like everything is like, well, this is just Sepulchral Guard with knobs on. Yeah. And actually, if I excuse the expression, the knobs aren't that interesting. Ultimately, you really want to just play a flat basic warband, and I feel like everything is an embellishment, and sometimes with embellishments, that's not always a good thing. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's a bit complicated. You've got to think more about it. I mean, there are some warbands that absolutely fry my brain. Yeah. They can become overpowered. Now, we know why they do that. They do that so that you'll buy the miniatures and you won't just stick with your Sepulchral Guard. Yeah. But I think people just want to play and have fun.
Yeah, I think you said earlier about how there are people playing tournaments, but there's probably more people who are playing casual games, and I think that's why GW have moved towards the whole Nemesis rival sort of thing, because they know that you've got a group of people that play Championship, but you've got a much bigger group. You've got more people that don't play Championship than do play Championship. Yeah. So it makes sense to appeal to that group, and I'm obviously including people who don't play at all right now, That's a much bigger group, and if you can make it simple and get more people in, that's much better than just focusing on a very small subset that just play Championship.
Yeah, they have this ultimate competitive game title that people bandy about, oh, they've called it that, and it's not. But actually, I don't think the fan base want that. I think they want that simpler times of the Shadespire Night Vault era, when it was a little bit easier just to sit down and play and not have to sort of read 10 pages of card text to work out what on earth your warband did.
Now, I think there are obviously people out there who are like, no, I want complex, I want challenging, I want the ultimate competitive game, but I think there's more people that don't.
Yeah, but you've still got that, because they are still bringing out the Headsman's Curse, Nephilim, whatever they're called. But I just think you could bring out a really simple version of the game, Shadespire, update it so they can run with the new boys, but also just a really nice, simple, elegant, like
they have with the start
set.
When
we played Garrick's and Severin, there's no card text to really worry about. It's just charge in, roll some dice, or have I scored my objectives, which is really nice. And I almost think there's an argument to say they can have their competitive stuff, but they should almost run a beginner's season of Shadespire, where they basically bring out Shadespire, and that's the beginner's season, and people can play tournaments in that form. You have to choose a Shadespire warband, and they're all new, and you play it. And
it's a bit like how Blizzard did with World of Warcraft. They had the original season of World of Warcraft, and they brought out loads of new stuff and loads of extra things, and then at one point they went, we're just going to do a server with just the original release on it again. People loved that, because they're like, awesome, I can go back to 6 years ago and teleport myself back to that time when it was a simpler time.
Simpler times. And that ties into one of my other points, which is that I think often in media, whether it be games or books or films or music, the original idea is the best one. And that's the thing that a lot of work has gone into, and then everything else is built upon that. But the original idea is the best thing. So in some way, stripping it right back down to the original idea might actually be better. Yes, the game's evolved a little bit and it has improved. I'm not saying that the Shadespire was better than where we are now, but there's something to be said for the elegant simplicity of the Shadespire days.
And I'd say a lot of the things that have improved about it since Shadespire are just the tightening up of rules, the tightening up of keywords and things like that. So they haven't fundamentally changed anything about Shadespire. They've just made the game clearer and more concise. But I don't think when they added hunters and quarries and hunger tokens and things like, I don't think any of those things made the game better.
No.
It's a bit like sequels to movies. Very rarely is the second film better than the first. There's a very few number of films that do that. So I think that applies the same with games.
I think ultimately people love the simplicity of Gerzeg.
Yeah.
It's just like whack things, keep going.
I know warbands like the Sepulchral Guard weren't simple to play. Even in Shadespire days, there was a nuance there that maybe you can capitalise on more now than you could in those early days with the resurrecting and the moving people around to objectives and stuff. But even then, it wasn't as complex as, say, a Void Scarred or the Void Cursed deck and that kind of thing that goes on now.
No, so I think there's something to be said for simplicity. What do you think? Would you love to see every single Shadespire warband re-rivaled so you could play it in Rivals in the Nemesis format?
Maybe a Godsworn Hunt that are actually quite good.
I mean, I think the answer is yes. I think most people are going to say yes. We do want to see that. Because it means you also get money out. You're getting more use out of your models. Of course, it's less good if you have to buy them again. Yeah,
but then if you had to buy them again, it gives you a chance, if you do already have them, to try a new paint job. I quite often go back and look at my original models and think, if I could do them again, I would. But I'm not going to strip them down now because they're already painted. But if I had another set,
another sprue, you might do it. Also, Warcry players and things love to buy these things and add them to their warbands.
Great for AOS as well.
You might be able to sell them on the eBays.
Yeah.
So there you go. I would love to see, particularly for Chosen Axes, particularly for Godsworn Hunt, the warbands that were a little bit weak and were underplayed. Eyes of the Nine. Imagine if Eyes of the Nine had some cards to rival Ephelin. And you could have like a proper Zinchoff.
Proper Zinchoff. I think it's there. It's right for the taking, GW. Just, send us the check in the post for that brilliant idea.
Do it.
So thank you for watching. Do let us know in the comments below what your reasons would be for or against re-releasing all the Season 1 and 2 warbands. And don't forget to like, subscribe and ring that bell.
And if you would like to, do consider supporting us on Patreon. It enables us to make these sorts of videos where we can sit and spend a couple of hours in the day thinking about what we might want to talk about and fund that rather than doing the washing up. Yeah. You get loads of extra videos that are patrons only, and you get to join our Patreon Discord and you get to chat with us on a day-to-day basis, and you get discounts on things like Agents Con 2023.
So we'll see you soon in the Weird Hollow.